The laughter echoed harshly through the bustling hallway of Lincoln High School in Seattle as Bennett was shoved hard against the cold metal lockers. "Look at this weak gay boy thinking. He can hide his secrets from us, Derek." The star quarterback laughed loudly, his gang of jocks joining in with the entire senior class watching and cheering the mockery. Bennett, an 18-year-old senior known for his artistic talent and quiet demeanor, felt his face burn with shame as tears threatened to spill from his eyes. He had just come out a few months ago hoping for acceptance, but instead it had turned his life into a nightmare of constant taunts and isolation. The sketchbook in his hand, filled with drawings that revealed his feelings, was snatched away and waved around for everyone to see. "Who is this guy? You drew your boyfriend?" another bully sneered, causing more laughter. Bennett tried to grab it back, but was pushed down his knees, hitting the floor. He quickly gathered his things and ran to the nearest bathroom, locking himself in a stall, where he finally let the sobs escape. His mind raced with thoughts of how he had always felt different, even as a child, preferring books and drawing over sports. His father, a strict construction worker, had barely spoken to him since the coming out, and his mother tried to mediate, but the tension at home was palpable. At school, former friends had distanced themselves to avoid the bullying. As he sat there, he wondered if life would ever get better. The cold tile floor pressed against his cheek, and the smell of disinfectant mixed with his own despair. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand and took a deep breath, trying to compose himself before the next bell. This was not the first time, but today felt heavier somehow, as if the whole world had decided he did not deserve to exist as he was. Meanwhile, Oliver, the 18-year-old new transfer student and basketball team captain, had witnessed the entire incident from his locker a few feet away. He felt a knot in his stomach, not just from sympathy for Bennett, but because he himself had been hiding similar feelings for years, afraid of losing his popularity and team position. He wanted to help, but the fear held him back. The bell rang, and Oliver headed to class, but he could not shake the image of Bennett's pain expression. After school, Bennett walked home alone through the rainy Seattle streets, his mind full of despair. He avoided the usual route to dodge any more encounters. At home, dinner was tense as his dad commented on real men in the news, making Bennett retreat to his room early. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, questioning his worth, and replaying the hallway scene over and over. The next morning, Bennett dreaded going to school, but he had to. In the first period English class, the teacher assigned group projects, and to his surprise, Oliver was in his group. Oliver smiled kindly and suggested they meet after class to plan. Bennett was cautious, but agreed, seeing a glimmer of hope. They talked in the library, and Oliver asked about his drawings, showing genuine interest. Bennett opened up a little about his passion for art. This small interaction made Bennett feel seen for the first time in months. But as they left, Derek saw them and shouted a comment, starting the bullying again. Bennett's heart sank, but Oliver did not laugh, which was new. Oliver walked with him to the bus stop, and they talked about music and movies, keeping the conversation light. Bennett noticed how Oliver's presence made the world feel a little less hostile. That night, Bennett sketched a new drawing, this time including a figure that looked a lot like Oliver's standing beside him in the park. He hid it carefully, knowing one more exposure could destroy him. The following days blurred into a pattern of avoidance and small kindnesses from Oliver. Bennett started to look forward to their group meetings, even as the class whispers grew louder. Oliver shared stories from his old school in Portland about feeling out of place despite being on the team. Bennett listened and felt less alone. One afternoon, after a particularly bad lunch period where food was thrown at him, Oliver found him in the art room cleaning up. "Hey, you okay?" Oliver asked, sitting on the stool next to him. Bennett shrugged, but the tears came anyway. Oliver did not push, just sat there in silence, offering a tissue from his backpack. That moment planted the seed of trust. Bennett went home that evening, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled while telling his mom about the project partner who seemed decent. His mom hugged him tight but warned him to be careful. His dad overheard and muttered something about choices, but left the room without escalating. Bennett felt a tiny spark of hope. The weekend brought rain, but also a text from Oliver suggesting they work on the project at the local coffee shop. Bennett agreed, and they spent hours laughing over bad coffee and brainstorming ideas. Oliver paid for both drinks and walked Bennett home under a shared umbrella. The simple act felt monumental to Bennett, who had grown used to rejection. As they parted, Oliver said, "See you Monday," and Bennett nodded, feeling lighter than he had in months. Monday came and the bullying resumed, but Bennett carried the memory of that weekend like a shield. Oliver sat next to him in class, ignoring the stares. The teacher noticed the growing friendship and encouraged it during discussions. Bennett started to speak up more in class, his voice shaky at first but gaining strength. Oliver's quiet support gave him courage. Yet deep down, Bennett knew the calm was temporary. Derek and his crew were watching, waiting for the right moment to strike harder. Oliver lay in bed that night thinking about Bennett and his own secrets, wondering how long he could keep pretending. The week continued with small steps forward and the occasional jab from the class, but Bennett and Oliver's bond deepened through shared notes and quiet conversations in the library. Bennett shared a poem he wrote about feeling invisible, and Oliver read it twice, saying it was powerful. That praise meant more than Bennett could express. The file ended as they planned their next meeting at the park after school, the sun finally breaking through the clouds, promising a brighter day ahead. The following week, Bennett found himself looking forward to the group meetings with Oliver, despite the ongoing taunts from the class. Oliver started sitting with him at lunch, ignoring the whispers. They talked about books, music, and dreams. Bennett shared his struggle with acceptance, and Oliver listened, sharing his own pressure from family to be the perfect son and athlete. One afternoon, they went to Discovery Park for a project research on local history, and there under the bright sun, they shared a moment of laughter that felt like freedom. Bennett opened up about his identity crisis, how he had spent years trying to fit in only to realize he could not. Oliver admitted he had questions about himself too, but fear kept him silent. The park paths wound through tall trees, and the sound of birds mixed with their voices. Bennett felt safe for the first time in public. Back at school, the bullying escalated with online harassment in the group chats mocking Bennett's drawings and calling him names. Oliver defended him once in a reply, but quickly deleted it, afraid of backlash. Bennett saw the notification and appreciated the gesture, even if it was short-lived. At home, Bennett's mom asked about Oliver, and he described him as a good guy. His dad grunted, but did not argue. Bennett started journaling his feelings, pouring out the pain and the hope Oliver brought. Oliver, on his basketball practice days, would text Bennett encouragement before games. After one win, Oliver invited him to celebrate with a walk around the school track. They talked about future plans, college and beyond. Bennett confessed he wanted to study art in New York, but doubted his parents would support it. Oliver encouraged him, saying, "You have talent, do not let anyone dim it." That night, Bennett slept better than he had in weeks. The class noticed the friendship, and the mockery turned toward both of them with comments about the gay basketball player and his sidekick. Oliver brushed it off, but Bennett saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. During a group project presentation, the class snickered when Bennett spoke, but Oliver stood tall beside him, adding points that made the teacher nod approvingly. After class, Derek cornered Bennett in the hall alone this time, pushing him against the wall and warning him to stay away from Oliver or else. Bennett stood his ground for the first time, saying, "Oliver is my friend," and walked away, shaking. He told Oliver later, and they decided to be more careful in public. The friendship continued to grow through late-night texts and shared lunches. Bennett started to see Oliver not just as a protector, but as someone who understood the internal battle. Oliver began questioning his own identity more openly in their private talks, admitting he had never felt this way about anyone before. Bennett felt a warmth spread through him, but kept it light, not wanting to pressure. One rainy afternoon, they studied at Bennett's house when his mom was out. They laughed over old movies, and Oliver helped with a difficult drawing technique. As they sat close, Bennett felt the spark but pulled back, remembering the risks. The evening ended with Oliver promising to stand by him no matter what. The bullying did not stop, but Bennett's resilience grew with each small victory. He started eating lunch with Oliver regularly and even joined the art club, where he met a few allies. Oliver's basketball teammates noticed his distraction, but he deflected with jokes. Deep down, Oliver knew the truth was coming closer. Bennett's family tension eased slightly when his mom met Oliver and liked him immediately, calling him polite. His dad remained distant but stopped the direct comments. Bennett felt the shift and credited Oliver for the change. The file closed as they planned a weekend project session at the beach, hoping the open space would give them room to breathe away from prying eyes. The relationship deepened as Bennett and Oliver spent more time together outside school. They bonded over art and sports, Oliver teaching Bennett basic basketball moves in the park while Bennett showed him how to sketch the Seattle skyline. First romantic hint came during a quiet moment in the park when their hands brushed and neither pulled away. Bennett opened up about his identity crisis the nights he cried alone, wondering why he could not change. Oliver shared his fears of losing his team and family approval. Bullies noticed and targeted both with notes left in lockers calling them names. Bennett's confidence grew, but the pressure mounted. Family dinner conflict arose when Bennett's dad asked pointed questions about Oliver. Bennett defended the friendship fiercely for the first time, raising his voice. His mom supported him quietly. Oliver faced his own home pressure, his parents pushing him toward college scouts, ignoring his quieter side. The two friends met at Alki Beach one sunny afternoon, walking barefoot along the shore, talking about everything and nothing. The waves provided a soothing backdrop as they shared ice cream and dreams. Bennett felt alive in a way he never had. Back at school, the harassment intensified with a fake social media account posting altered photos of Bennett. Oliver reported it to the school, but the response was slow. Bennett felt betrayed by the system, but Oliver's support kept him going. They decided to document everything, building a record of incidents. One evening, Oliver came out to Bennett fully admitting his feelings. Bennett reciprocated, and they shared a hug that lasted longer than friendship. No words were needed, the understanding was there. The next day at school, they kept it secret, but the closeness showed. Derek confronted Oliver in the locker room, warning him about associating with the wrong crowd. Oliver stood tall, saying, "Bennett is a good person," and walked away. Bennett heard about it later and felt proud. The emotional toll showed in Bennett's grades dipping slightly, but his art flourished with new inspiration. Oliver's games improved as he channeled the energy positively. Family for Oliver remained unaware, but his sister suspected and offered quiet support. Bennett's mom noticed the change in her son and asked gentle questions. He confided partially, and she hugged him, promising to talk to his dad. The bullying reached a new level with public mocking at a school assembly, but Bennett held Oliver's gaze from across the room, drawing strength. The file ended as they planned another beach day to recharge before the storm they sensed was coming. High tension built as the bullying escalated after school one day, when Bennett was pushed, causing him to sprain his ankle. Oliver defended him, immediately helping him up and confronting the group. Police were called for the minor incident, but the pattern of bullying was noted by the responding officer. Family conflict intensified, for both Bennett's dad blamed him for provoking, while his mom took him to the doctor. Oliver's parents questioned his involvement, but he defended Bennett strongly. The two spent time at the hospital waiting room talking about the future and what they meant to each other. Bennett's injury kept him home for a few days, giving time for reflection. Oliver visited daily, bringing notes from class and snacks. Their conversations turned deeper, exploring what love meant beyond fear. The school administration called a meeting, but it felt superficial. Bennett returned to school on crutches, and the class stared, but Oliver walked beside him every step. The bullies laid low temporarily, but the online attacks continued. Bennett decided to speak to a counselor and started therapy sessions that helped him process the trauma. Oliver joined one session with permission, and they both gained tools to cope. Family for Bennett improved when his dad saw the police report and softened slightly. Oliver's family remained tense, but his sister became an ally. The emotional low point came when Bennett broke down in Oliver's arms, admitting the pain almost